Welcome to this important press conference that is very dear to the GJA because this borders on the survival and sanctity of our profession, and therefore as practitioners we must be equally worried. The immediate trigger to this press conference is the incessant attacks on journalists in the country in recent times. As you may all be aware, attacks on journalists have become so rampant that the GJA cannot silent on them, as our colleagues continue to suffer such inhumane treatments. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, one of the cases that is fresh in the memory is the attack on the Upper West Regional Chairman of GJA, Swala Abdul Wahab. The circumstances under which an immigration officer and a senior immigration officer for that matter pointed a gun at him and threatened to shoot him on June 20th, 2023, without any provocation, certainly required urgent investigation and appropriate sanctions where necessary. Swala, who is also the Upper East Regional Correspondent of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, was traveling from Wa to Bolga on the public transport to attend a workshop on climate change. The vehicle stopped at the immigration checkpoint at Naro in the Nadoli Kalu district for routine check of Ghana card of all passengers. The passengers, including Swala, disembarked from the vehicle. He then requested to use a kettle, which in a local language called buta, belonging to the immigration officers, to perform ablution in a makeshift roofing sheet structure believed to be a urinal. But the immigration officers declined his request, so he returned the kettle, that's the buta, and decided to go into the bush to urinate. On this way, one of the officers instructed him to cross to the other side of the road to urinate. Swallow did not find any justification in risking his life to cross a highway just to urinate when it was safe to do so in the bush on the side of the road where he was. The immigration officer, out of anger, shouted, "I am asking you to cross the road to urinate, and you are challenging me." He then cocked his gun and threatened, "If you are a man, go and urinate." Swala, together with the other passengers, quickly moved away from the scene and further into the bush to urinate. When Swala returned, the immigration officer again threatened to blow off his head for challenging him. In the course of the event, another immigration officer, whose name tag is given as Enim Ajepong, who was wearing the rank of Assistant Superintendent of Immigration, ASI, and believed to be the senior-most officer among them, suddenly rushed over and threatened to arrest and lock up Swala. Subsequently, he rushed into his office and returned with a sidearm pistol, threatening to shoot the journalist for being too knowing amidst insults. He later put the pistol on a chair and wanted to attack our colleague Swala physically, but was restrained by some passengers and his colleagues. When calm was restored, one of the immigration officers asked Swala to go and apologize to the senior immigration officer. But the passengers disagreed, contending that they, passengers, were rather the victims of abuse from the officers. When the immigration officers realized that all the passengers were resolved not to offer any apology, they refused to open the barrier and unduly delayed the vehicle for some time as punishment before allowing them to pass. We call on the Interior Minister, Honorable Abbas Derry, to act swiftly on this matter relating to attacks of Swala Abdul Wahab by senior immigration officers. We expect him to act swiftly, just as he did in his reaction to the IDP's leak. We see the men in uniform as partners in development, in ensuring that good governance and rule of law are upheld. They must be seen to be protecting journalists rather than attacking them. As enforcers of the law, they must know better. Therefore, we take their actions against journalists as deliberate attempts to gag journalists. The GJA finds the conduct of the immigration officers to be highly unprofessional and gross misconduct, which warrant severe sanctions. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, it is important to note that as part of our action plans, the GJA has already petitioned the Controller General of Ghana Immigration Service, Lawyer Techi Esua, and copied the Interior Minister to investigate the incident and sanction the officers involved where necessary to serve as deterrent to others. Colleagues, the second case occurred a few weeks ago in Obuasi, in the Ashanti region, where some miners were trapped in a mining pit. In the aftermath of that disaster, the Ashanti regional correspondent of GTV, Nicholas Osewusu, was attacked by some soldiers while covering the incident. The only offense he committed was videoing a warming shooting spree being carried out by the soldiers to disperse a mob on the premises of the Obuasi Central Police Station. According to Nicholas, he ordered some of his men to confiscate his official working gadgets and asked them to delete the videos as well. That was on the order of the leader of these armed officers. Well, when he was not sure of what they had done to retrieve the content from the phone used to capture the unfolding event, the military man personally seized it, went through it, and deleted every video the journalists had taken. To be certain that no traces of the videos were left, he went into the recycling bin on the phone and deleted everything there before handing the gadget back to him. Sincerely, there was no act of provocation or resistance from the journalist, as we have been told and as established by our investigations. The military man would not even tolerate the identity of the journalist as coming from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and went further to make some scornful comments that he is coming from GBC, and so what? You are coming from GBC, and so what? Before snatching the phone. And this is the state broadcaster, public service broadcaster we are talking about here. This act by the military against a journalist who was carrying his constitutional mandated duty can pass for terrorism against the journalist and terrorism and against the journalist and journalism in this country. And I take that paragraph again. This act by the military against a journalist who was carrying his constitutional mandated duty can pass for terrorism against the journalist and journalism in this country. Again, let me emphasize that the GJA has petitioned the military hierarchy, and we are waiting for an urgent response. Our demands include investigating the matter thoroughly and sanctioning the culprit appropriately. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, a few weeks ago in Ashama, Angel FM's Tema regional correspondent, Augustine Ayabo, was assaulted with his phone smashed by residents of Ashaman, Lebanon Zone 2, just for taking picture of a toilet facility in a compound that had collapsed on people. The matter is currently in court, and so we are keenly monitoring the outcome. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the violations that have been recorded in Ghana over the past year, in our view, give cause for pessimism regarding the country's performance in the next ranking of global media freedom. It is obvious that our press freedom environment is deteriorating seriously, and it is our view, therefore, that efforts to bring a positive change should begin from authorities in sanctioning people who commit atrocities against journalists and media practitioners. While at it, we also call on government to adequately resource the National Media Commission to effectively carry out its mandate of monitoring and regulating media content in a proactive manner. This will help empower people to bring issues of professional misconduct and ethical breaches to them for redress. The GJA continues to commit itself to promoting professional standards in the media and will urge all journalists and media houses to continue to uphold Article 8 of the GJA Code of Conduct and Ethics to guarantee the highest level of integrity and professionalism that we can all be proud of. We will not hesitate to call out any journalist or media organization that indulges in flagrant violation of the professional ethics and standards. This is in view of the recognition that press freedom, as contained in Article 162 of the Constitution of Ghana, 1992, and indeed in all other forms of freedom, as in Article 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of the Constitution, go with responsibility and duty to respect public sensibilities, human dignity, and public interest must at all times be observed. As I bring my remarks to a close, let it be made known to all in the security services that we are collaborators in the service of our nation. But under default administration, if one journalist or media institution is attacked, I can assure our men in uniform, you have touched all partitions, and we will apply the law to get justice. All the victims of these unwarranted attacks, too, I want to assure you, I want to assure everyone gathered here this afternoon that we will follow through the petition submitted and make sure we seek justice for all of them. No one is above the law, and no one is the law. The law is the law and does not respect authority, rank, or command. We are all therefore equal before the law. Long live press freedom, long live GJA. Thank you for your rapt attention.
A round of applause for our president. Thank